TMZ reported that Blake Lively has told People that there were multiple reasons that Justin Baldoni made her feel uncomfortable. It's a feminist buzzword. Uncomfortable on set of It Ends With Us.
Well, battle between Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively heats up. The Gossip Girl actress has begun to share the toll it's having on her personal life.
Noticed that many of the cast and crew had unfollowed Baldoni on social media and started to ask questions. These turned to rumors of misbehavior on set by Baldoni.
Blake Lively too?
Into oblivion, Megan. Wait till you see this lawsuit.
Against a 40-year-old man named Justin Baldoni and others in California claiming that she was dealing with harassment.
Envision a Hollywood clash of titans, a legal earthquake rumbling through the foundations of celebrity reputations. What if two prominent stars, seemingly destined for on-screen synergy, abruptly became locked in a bitter feud, unleashing a torrent of legal actions with demands soaring towards the astronomical figure of almost $1 billion? This isn't some fictional blockbuster cooked up in a studio. It's the very real, high-stakes drama erupting between Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively. And as the layers of this conflict peel back, the unfolding narrative is proving to be even more sensational, more bewildering, and more consequential than anyone in the glittering world of entertainment could have possibly imagined.
Oh, I'm so excited. I'm proud of it, but it's also one of those things where it's never exactly what you want it to be. So every single day, what excites me most isn't that I'm saying, oh, we're good, let's sit back.
The initial spark ignited with what felt like a minor tremor, but it swiftly morphed into a full-blown seismic event that rattled the entire Hollywood landscape. Blake Lively, the celebrated star of Gossip Girl, a name synonymous with red carpet elegance and seemingly untouchable grace, detonated a legal bombshell aimed squarely at Justin Baldoni. Baldoni, recognized for his roles in projects like Jane the Virgin and increasingly for his public voice advocating for positive masculinity, suddenly found himself in the crosshairs. The accusation leveled against him was stark and severe: harassment, and the financial demand attached to this claim was nothing short of breathtaking: a jaw-dropping $250 million. Let that number sink in. $250 million. The entertainment industry collectively gasped. Lively, an icon of poised public image, was alleging serious misconduct, casting a dark shadow over Baldoni, a project that had held the promise of collaboration and creative synergy. A venture initially viewed with anticipation was instantly plunged into chaos, overshadowed by the weight of accusations and complex legal filings. The idyllic facade of Hollywood sets crumbled, revealing a potential undercurrent of conflict and tension. This opening legal salvo sent shockwaves resonating through every studio lot and talent agency, leaving industry insiders and fans alike grappling with a single pressing question: what transpired behind the scenes to trigger such an explosive confrontation?
Well, I actually knew of the film before I knew of Colleen's book, which is, I know, a unique entry point, but I think because I just have 1,000 children, I, have missed all of pop culture, and her significant impact in the world of books. I mean, so many of her books are on the New York Times bestseller. I mean, it's crazy.
However, this legal battle was far from a one-sided offensive. Justin Baldoni, displaying a resolve that surprised many, didn't merely absorb the blow and retreat. He launched a counteroffensive with a ferocity that amplified the drama to an entirely new level. Rejecting the role of a passive defendant, he fired back with a counter lawsuit that was even more audacious in its scope and demands. He didn't just issue a blanket denial of the harassment claims. He strategically flipped the narrative, painting himself as the aggrieved party, accusing Lively of calculated extortion and deliberate defamation of character. And in a move that further escalated the financial stakes, he demanded a staggering $400 million in compensatory damages. Suddenly, the legal arena transformed from a singular harassment claim into a multifaceted war, with financial implications that bordered on the surreal. Baldoni's counterclaim presented a starkly contrasting account, portraying him not as a perpetrator, but as a victim ensnared in a meticulously orchestrated campaign to tarnish his reputation and extract an exorbitant sum. The sheer audacity of the escalating financial demands, billions. First $250 million, then nearly $500 million, left industry analysts and casual observers alike utterly stunned. It became unequivocally clear from these opening volleys that neither party was prepared to concede ground. This wasn't simply a legal disagreement to be resolved through quiet negotiation. It was a high-stakes public showdown fraught with peril and carrying potentially catastrophic ramifications for the careers and financial futures of both prominent figures involved.
It's a bit of a tough adjustment in our house, but it's good. I mean, I have two other daughters, so my oldest is very into the baby, but my middle child, not so much. But we're thinking of keeping her.
Does she like play with her? What does she think?
Well, she sort of like pretends to play with her. So like in the beginning, our oldest is like loving on her, and she's like very maternal, and then our middle daughter is just keeps away from her.
The initial courtroom hearing was charged with an atmosphere of intense anticipation, akin to the moments before the bell rings for a championship boxing match. The brief 90-minute session, however, delivered a surprisingly decisive outcome, marking a clear early triumph for Justin Baldoni. His legal representative, the formidable Brian Friedman, entered the courtroom with an air of determined preparedness, and his performance throughout the hearing lived up to that impression, leaving Blake Lively's legal team visibly on the back foot. Friedman systematically and efficiently dismantled every motion presented by Lively's side. Their attempt to impose a gag order aimed at silencing Friedman's public commentary swiftly denied. Their effort to dictate the parameters of Lively's deposition, seeking to control who could interrogate her under oath, resoundingly rejected. Even their attempt to suppress Baldoni's website, a crucial element of his public transparency strategy designed to archive and disseminate evidence, was met with judicial disapproval. It was, by all accounts, a clean sweep for Baldoni's legal team. The presiding judge consistently sided with Friedman's arguments, granting him a strategic advantage in shaping both the legal trajectory of the case and the immediate public perception. Lively's lawyers, in stark contrast, appeared disconcerted and seemingly ill-prepared for the aggressive and proactive legal tactics employed by Friedman. They even made a plea to the judge, bordering on a request for protection, asking for intervention to limit Friedman's assertive public communications, a request that was summarily dismissed as unfounded. This initial courtroom victory was far more than a mere procedural formality. It served as a potent signal, establishing a palpable momentum shift in Baldoni's favor, and underscoring the presence of a meticulously crafted and exceptionally robust legal strategy guiding his defense.
I mean, I internalized that as opportunity. We had such a responsibility to this audience to deliver something and to have the opportunity to deliver something for a passionate group of people.
Yes.
As someone who is so deeply passionate myself, I was so excited about that. I would so much rather have that than people who are indifferent.
Blase.
Parallel to the unfolding legal drama within the courtroom, a fierce and equally consequential battle was being waged in the volatile arena of public opinion. Justin Baldoni, demonstrating a shrewd understanding of modern media dynamics, executed a strategic maneuver to seize control of the narrative, launching a dedicated website meticulously designed to present his perspective on the escalating conflict. This wasn't merely a conventional press release or a carefully crafted statement. It was a comprehensive, interactive digital archive. Baldoni's website became a repository of raw, unedited evidence, including meticulously documented text message exchanges, scanned receipts relevant to the case, and detailed timelines charting the progression of events. This unprecedented level of transparency was deliberately designed to circumvent the traditional filters of mainstream media, allowing the public direct, unfiltered access to the evidentiary foundation of Baldoni's defense, empowering them to form their own informed opinions. Simultaneously, Blake Lively's team had been actively engaged in cultivating relationships with prominent media outlets, strategically disseminating their version of events to influential publications, aiming to shape the media narrative in a manner favorable to their client. This dual-pronged approach, legal maneuvering in the courtroom and a concerted public relations campaign, created a tense two-front war where control over the dominant storyline was as fiercely contested as the legal arguments themselves. Baldoni's website in particular emerged as a strategic masterstroke, effectively placing immense pressure on Lively and her representatives to publicly address the detailed evidence being systematically unveiled for public scrutiny. The struggle for public perception was rapidly becoming an equally, if not more, critical battleground than the formal legal proceedings, with the potential to sway the ultimate outcome as much as any courtroom verdict.
And being frank, if it were not for women giving me direct feedback in my own personal life and being, being a man who was willing to at least listen to them, there's no chance that I would be having this conversation. So the message, to answer your question, the message is very simple. As men, we need to embrace all of the parts of us that make us human. That's it.
It is.
It's very simple.
One of the most revealing and intensely scrutinized junctures in the early stages of this high-profile legal clash revolved around the procedural phase of depositions, sworn testimonies taken under oath carrying significant weight as potential evidence in a trial. Blake Lively's legal team initiated an unusual and strategically questionable maneuver. They formally requested the exclusion of Brian Friedman, Baldoni's notably aggressive and incisive attorney, from the crucial deposition process where Lively would be questioned. The justification presented for this request was, to many legal observers, remarkably thin. They argued that Friedman's purportedly confrontational style would create an unduly intimidating and unfair environment for their client. However, the presiding judge, displaying a firm grasp of legal protocol and impartiality, swiftly dismissed this objection, unequivocally asserting that litigants do not possess the prerogative to selectively choose their opposing counsel. This seemingly procedural ruling carried far-reaching implications, resonating beyond the immediate courtroom dynamics. Why many legal analysts and public commentators began to speculate, would Lively's legal team attempt to shield her from questioning by Friedman specifically if she possessed unwavering confidence in the veracity and strength of her allegations? Was this an indication of underlying nervousness, a subtle acknowledgement of potential vulnerabilities within her narrative? The speculation intensified, fueled by Friedman's established reputation within the legal community as a relentless and meticulously prepared litigator, known for his ability to dissect and expose inconsistencies in opposing arguments. The judge's unequivocal decision to grant Friedman unrestricted access to question Lively in deposition significantly amplified the pressure bearing down on her, strongly suggesting that the unvarnished truth, whatever it may be, was poised to be subjected to an exceptionally rigorous and potentially uncomfortable level of scrutiny in the forthcoming legal proceedings.
But I was like just tracking him down, and then I finally got to read the script, and the script was a thriller. So that was a little confusing to me because he's like such a funny director.
Yeah.
And so I said, what is this? Because the script is definitely like a twisting, turning, intense thriller. Is it a comedy or a thriller? And he said, yes. So then every day on set, I was like, is today a comedy or is it a thriller?
It's a good mix.
And it's like, it's like really kind of over the top and campy and trashy and fun and like, kind of like my outfit, I guess.
With the foundational legal skirmishes concluded and the procedural groundwork firmly established, the stage is now dramatically set for a potential full-scale trial scheduled for March 26th, a date that looms on the horizon like a cataclysmic event, representing a profound financial and reputational precipice for both Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively. The judge's decisive action to consolidate the originally separate lawsuits into a unified legal action has dramatically escalated the stakes, ensuring that they are on a direct collision course towards a single, high-impact courtroom showdown. The combined financial exposure, with a staggering $650 million collectively hanging in the balance, is almost unfathomable in its magnitude, even within the context of Hollywood's often extravagant financial landscape. The potential financial ramifications are nothing short of existential. Should Blake Lively ultimately face defeat in court, she could be held legally accountable for the monumental $400 million counterclaim levied by Baldoni, a sum that could realistically exceed her entire accumulated wealth, even factoring in the substantial financial assets of her husband, Ryan Reynolds. However, the potential damage extends far beyond mere monetary considerations. Blake Lively, once universally celebrated for her seemingly flawless public persona, now navigates a fractured public perception, with segments of the audience and media openly questioning the underlying motivations behind her legal actions. Justin Baldoni, initially positioned as the defendant facing serious allegations, has skillfully pivoted, seizing the narrative initiative and effectively presenting himself as the aggrieved party, garnering a noticeable degree of public sympathy and support in the process. For both individuals, proceeding to trial represents a high-stakes gamble of epic proportions. A negative verdict in this intensely publicized case, irrespective of who prevails, coupled with the inevitable media-feeding frenzy, carries the very real threat of inflicting enduring, perhaps irreparable damage to their careers, and permanently tarnishing their hard-earned reputations for years to come. The ambient pressure surrounding this case is now immense, palpable, and continues to escalate. The central, unanswered question that dominates industry conversations and public speculation is, will the imminence of the trial date compel both parties to seek a negotiation negotiated settlement a strategic retreat from the brink of total war? Or are they both irrevocably committed to risking everything in a definitive courtroom showdown where the ultimate truth and hundreds of millions of dollars hang precariously in the balance, subject to the unpredictable whims of a jury and the unforgiving glare of the global media spotlight? But amidst the escalating legal hostilities and the looming specter of a potentially devastating trial, a crucial question hangs in the air. Could a settlement still be on the horizon? In high-stakes legal battles of this magnitude, where the potential for financial ruin and irreparable reputational damage looms large, the pragmatic allure of a negotiated resolution often becomes increasingly compelling. For Blake Lively, a settlement, while perhaps requiring a degree of public concession or a privately uncomfortable admission, could serve as a crucial escape route, a strategic maneuver to avert the catastrophic financial exposure of a $400 million judgment. Legal experts frequently advise settlement negotiations in precisely these types of cases, where the collateral damage from relentless publicity and the sheer financial risk of a negative court ruling can outweigh the perceived benefits of pursuing a full trial victory. However, the critical obstacle to a settlement lies in the seemingly unwavering stance adopted by Justin Baldoni. From his public pronouncements and legal strategies, Baldoni appears deeply resolute in his pursuit of complete vindication, seemingly disinclined to accept any resolution that falls short of fully clearing his name and publicly refuting Lively's allegations. This apparent inflexibility on Baldoni's part suggests that a simple financial settlement, devoid of a clear acknowledgement of his innocence, might be unacceptable. The settlement gamble, therefore, hinges on whether either side is willing to make significant concessions, whether Lively is prepared to publicly backtrack to some extent, and whether Baldoni might consider a resolution that offers substantial vindication without the necessity of a protracted and potentially unpredictable trial. The clock is ticking, and the pressure to find a mutually agreeable off-ramp is mounting, even as the chasm of animosity between the two stars appears to deepen.
It's believing that people and humanity are inherently good, and they crave nutritious food in their soul, just as they do in their bodies.
Adding another layer of complexity to this already intricate legal drama is the undeniable presence of Ryan Reynolds, Blake Lively's husband and a Hollywood powerhouse in his own right. While Reynolds himself has maintained a conspicuous public silence on the unfolding legal battle, his name is far from absent from the proceedings. Crucially, Reynolds is directly named in Justin Baldoni's $400 million counterclaim, drawing him inextricably into the financial and legal vortex. This inclusion underscores the immense financial stakes involved, as any judgment against Blake Lively could potentially impact the couple's combined assets, making this a matter of significant personal and financial concern for Reynolds as well. While Reynolds has yet to issue any public statements directly addressing the lawsuit, his vested interest in a swift and discreet resolution is almost certainly substantial. A protracted and messy trial would not only expose potentially damaging personal details to public scrutiny, but also cast a long shadow over the meticulously crafted public image of both Lively and Reynolds. The financial implications alone, with hundreds of millions of dollars potentially at stake, would undoubtedly be a driving force behind any behind-the-scenes negotiations. Whether Reynolds is actively involved in seeking a settlement, perhaps through intermediaries or private channels, remains shrouded in secrecy. However, his silent presence looms large over the entire legal landscape, suggesting that his influence, even if exerted behind closed doors, could be a critical factor in determining whether this Hollywood showdown ultimately culminates in a dramatic trial or a more quietly negotiated resolution. Looking beyond the immediate legal skirmishes and the looming trial date, it's crucial to consider the long-term echoes of this Baldoni-Lively legal war within the broader Hollywood ecosystem and the enduring repercussions for both individuals involved. Regardless of the eventual courtroom verdict or any potential settlement agreement, the very public and intensely scrutinized nature of this dispute has already inflicted a degree of reputational damage on both stars. Blake Lively, once perceived as possessing an almost Teflon-like public image, now faces segments of the public and media questioning her motivations and the veracity of her allegations. Even if she were to ultimately prevail in court, the narrative surrounding her has been irrevocably altered, potentially impacting future endorsements, project selections, and overall public perception. Justin Baldoni, while seemingly gaining momentum in the public relations battle, also faces long-term risks. Should any unexpected evidence emerge or public sentiment shift against him, the aggressive and transparent nature of his his defense could be perceived negatively. Moreover, the very act of engaging in such a high-profile and contentious legal battle can leave lasting scars, branding both individuals as participants in a deeply divisive and potentially damaging Hollywood feud. The case serves as a stark cautionary tale, highlighting the precariousness of celebrity reputations and the enduring impact of public legal battles in an industry where image and perception are often as valuable as talent itself. The echoes of this Hollywood showdown are likely to reverberate for years to come, influencing not only the careers of Baldoni and Lively, but also shaping the industry's approach to handling similar high-stakes disputes in the future. As we continue to observe this unfolding Hollywood legal saga, it becomes increasingly apparent that this is not merely a superficial celebrity squabble destined to fade with the next news cycle. This is a deeply consequential, high-stakes confrontation that transcends the usual boundaries of celebrity disputes, carrying potentially ruinous ramifications for both Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively. The critical question that lingers is whether the rapidly approaching trial date will serve as a catalyst, forcing both parties to seriously consider the precarious nature of their positions and finally seek a resolution at the negotiating table. Can they, at this late stage, find a mutually acceptable pathway to settlement, thereby mitigating the catastrophic fallout of a protracted and intensely public courtroom battle? Or have they both become so entrenched in their respective positions, so deeply committed to proving the other wrong, that they are now destined to risk absolutely everything in a definitive courtroom showdown? Are we on the verge of witnessing a Hollywood legal spectacle unlike anything in recent memory, a trial where the very foundations of their careers and fortunes hang precariously in the balance, subject to the unpredictable currents of legal proceedings and the often fickle tides of public opinion? Regardless of the ultimate outcome, this extraordinary case serves as a stark and sobering reminder of the inherent volatility of fame, the enduring and often underestimated power of public perception, and the often brutal realities that can lie concealed beneath the shimmering, idealized surface of the seemingly glamorous world of Hollywood.